Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of Modern Media Review. I'm Robin Gibson.
And I'm Sean Goligly.
And we finished with Bros, we finished with Christmas.
I miss Bros and I miss Christmas, but like every single tabloid in the world, we are now talking about either getting fit for the new year or getting rich for the new year.
Getting rich, well, I don't know about getting rich, but starting up.
Okay.
Entrepreneurship. And according to government statistics and the ONS, virtually everyone's an entrepreneur now. Well, at least they're self-employed.
Well, Robin, I felt that when I was working for Mike Ashley at Sports Direct, I was an entrepreneur.
In that you were self-employed.
Absolutely self-employed. And the great thing about it was that I knew that when I went to the bog, it was only my own time I was wasting.
It makes you feel more entrepreneurial, doesn't it? The website that I look at, there is a magazine called Entrepreneur, but it's a magazine, you've got to pay for it. And frankly, it's not very entrepreneurial, is it, to pay for advice you could get for free?
So, Robin, if we've been more entrepreneurial, how do we approach this?
Well, we'd start by looking at the website of entrepreneur.com.
Which is free, I believe.
It's free. It's an absolute goldmine of stuff telling you how to be entrepreneurial. The front page stories, for example, one of them is how to tell the difference between US and UK business culture.
Oh man, that's so boring.
Well, I can tell you that. No, it's not boring, but I can tell you straight away the difference between US and UK business culture. Everyone in business in Britain is miserable and rude to the customers. In the US, they say, have a nice day.
However,
and they don't take any holidays.
However, have a nice day, which they're not having because they've got about 1 week's holiday in every 5 years.
If that. I don't know if they get any paid holidays. And the guy's saying things like, in the UK, self-promotion is seen as bragging. In the US, it's not. Well, we're all about self-promotion here. In a sense, although we're not actually making any money out of it.
What, we're not?
Not at the moment, no.
What, we can't monetise this?
We can't monetise it at the moment. There might be an article on here about it, but I haven't looked it up yet. The main difference between US and UK business culture is a bit dull. The one that really struck me today as interesting was how to start a successful fintech company in Europe.
Okay, Robin.
I've always thought with fintech, but it doesn't even sound right, does it?
Robin, you're a bit more fintech than me, so can you explain what fintech is?
Well, it's financial tech.
Oh, yeah, OVS. Yeah, OVS.
It's pronounced fin, isn't it? Does anyone say fine tech? If they did, it would have an E in the middle, wouldn't it? Anyway, this is how to start one up in Europe.
Okay, I'm listening.
You've got to acquire capital.
Yeah, I've always imagined you...
This is the great thing about entrepreneur.com. It gets straight to the point. The author of this article, who's Andrew Zimini, good name. They've got a lot of good names on here. Says, there will come a moment when you will need money.
Well, Robin, there comes a moment at the end of every month. There comes a moment at the end of every month where I desperately need money.
I told you. He doesn't say monthly, he just says one moment. I told you this website...
What, he only has one moment when he needs money?
Although he goes through the different ideas of raising money, like accelerators, I don't even know what they are. Venture funds, I know what they are. Punters, basically, isn't it? Gamblers with their capital. Business angels, that's just people with too much money.
Don't know what to do with it.
We could get one of them.
Yep.
But his key point here is ICOs. Initial coin offers.
Yeah.
This is Bitcoin and blockchain and all that stuff. He doesn't really point out how you make any money to get your money doing this.
But isn't this just a Ponzi?
I don't know what it is. You need to create the coins from the blockchain and you issue tokens and you sell them to investors. Then they've got tokens, but it doesn't give them any rights. They've got no voice.
Robin...
Is that the kind of thing you'd want to invest in?
Well, Robin...
You've got a token. You've got no rights, no voice. And as he says here, it provides you with a certain amount of freedom. He goes on to say, he sort of qualifies his argument and says that they're a new phenomenon. As such, they're not regulated and they fall into a legal grey zone.
Is that good or bad? For an entrepreneur?
For an entrepreneur, it's probably good. And then he goes on to recommend countries that are friendly to this kind of investment.
So I'd imagine that would be blue chip countries.
No, it looks to me like it's countries with lax, if not non-existent tax regimes. Malta, Liechtenstein, Estonia and Cyprus are mentioned, and Switzerland.
Switzerland?
The ideal place to go for investment.
Well, Switzerland is the bastion of proper money.
Well, there's a lot of money in Switzerland.
Yeah, but unfortunately there was also a lot of Nazi money washing around Switzerland in the 1930s.
That's a legal grey area, as Andrew Zimini says.
Well, I like Andrew Zimini.
He knows his grey areas, and he knows when not to be too bothered about it being a grey area.
Yeah.
Crowdfunding is another.
Don't talk to me about crowdfunding, because there's a guy at the moment that's sailing around the world for his own personal pleasure, and he's managed to get a load of idiots to crowdfund him. And it reminds me of all these sort of charity things as well, where people say, "Oh, I'll raise £5 for charity by setting across the Atlantic in a tub full of baked beans, and they have to be rescued 200 yards off Brighton Beach in their sinking tub." But anyway, Robin, you were saying
How much
about...
money do you think he's raised on his crowdfunding to do this? There's an article on entrepreneur.com which shows you how to raise $1 million on Kickstarter, which is the big crowdfunding platform. Have you ever heard of Toasteroid?
No.
Well, Toasteroid...
Inform me.
Toasteroid's a Kickstarter project. It's a project that I took a bit of interest in about a year or so ago when I wrote something about it. Toasteroid is...
So you've been following it?
Sort of, yeah. And Toasteroid is... it's supposedly an app, and I say supposedly, that will let you send messages with your toaster on your toast. It'll print the messages on your toast.
So, Robin, does it mean that if me and the missus were having tea and toast in the morning, I would send her a message, across the table, or can I send it to you?
I don't know if it can connect to my toast. It all sounds very plausible, doesn't it? But
well, that would probably be the premium version, wouldn't it? That would, you'd have to pay up for that.
In-app purchases, yeah.
Yeah.
But what we've got with Toasteroid, you see, is that you say, or I would say the website looks plausible at first.
Absolutely.
Until we look at the toast that they show. There's no messages on it. It's just toast.
I've got to say, we're scrolling through it, and Robin, it looks like toast.
It's just
but
toast.
without messages.
Without messages. And what's more, the more you look at it, it's a bit illiterate. For example, their spell check, they haven't gone through it. So the name Toasteroid's obviously toast, kind of segued with asteroid.
Okay.
The spell check on their website has not picked this up. So halfway through it says, put the slice of bread in, open the asteroid app.
Well, I quite like the idea
Doodle yourself on your toast. This is utter garbage, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so they've asked people for $150,000.
What?
$150,000 they're trying to raise in Kickstarter. And what's happened already? 1,967 people have already given $187,849. They've busted their 150 grand.
All I'm going to say, Robin, is that I may not be a financial whiz kid, but any round number always makes me a little bit worried. Like, how much do you need for this? Oh, about $150,000.
Well, anyone would be worried now because what's happened? Toasteroid
Gone a bit quiet?
hasn't appeared.
It's gone a bit quiet, has it?
And you want to look at the comments on the Kickstarter website. The first person says they're considering calling in the FBI. Well, actually, not the FBI, the Bureau of Consumer Protection. Loads of people saying it's a total scam. Complete lies.
Must be a shock horror.
Absolute shock horror. Well, just look at Michael Drakathakamichalis.
He sounds angry. And
He's
also
very angry.
Well, he's in caps.
He's writing in capitals, "Fuck you, Kickstarter integrity team, for not doing your jobs, fucking bastard liars." And what's amazing is when you do contact Kickstarter integrity team, if there is such a thing, they just say you need to reach out to the creator.
Oh, I quite like that.
It's very biblical, isn't it?
I like that, yeah.
What they mean is you've got to pester the Toasteroid guys, who frankly not going to be there
No, what-
anymore. Not on entrepreneur.com, but in the news today actually is another approach which is being pioneered by Seaborne Freight, who are the company who've got the deal to deal with the no-deal Brexit shipping freighting arrangements.
Which I saw, which I think is very entrepreneurial, because if you can get 13.8 million quid out of the government on taxpayers' money,
That's crowdfunding, innit?
it's crowdfunding via you and me.
And they haven't even done it properly. Never mind that they haven't got any ships. They don't even have a proper website because they've cut and pasted the terms and conditions from some kind of pizza delivery firm. It tells you that you're not allowed to make fake orders. And that you have to be...
This sounds like...
it's your responsibility to check the supplied goods before agreeing to pay for a meal.
Now, Robin, you just sound very down about this.
I'm very cynical about it.
Yeah, I don't know why, because it sounds really good to
It's
me.
getting Seaborne Freight nowhere, is it?
No.
They're going to get booted out of this whole arrangement. I say it's better to listen to the arguments and advice on entrepreneur.com.
Let's go back.
They've got these news articles about starting up fintech companies and raising funding money, but actually the meat of the site is in the guides.
Which I love.
These are the things that really made me warm to entrepreneur.com.
Well, Robin, this is what I love. It's about the actual entrepreneurs.
Well, actually, they're not really about the day-to-day lives of the entrepreneurs as such. What they are is timeless advice on how to comport yourself as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So, for example, the one that I liked and it first got me into the site was by someone called Serenity Gibbons.
Which is a beautiful name.
It's a great name. It puts you in a better state of mind when you wake up.
Robin, I'm feeling serene.
Serenity now. You've got equilibrium as soon as you wake up. And interestingly enough, Serenity's first bit of advice is that a successful entrepreneur should be wide awake.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's difficult.
Before 7 a.m.
Well, that's difficult because if you don't wake up, you're not an entrepreneur, are you? And
well, your entrepreneurial career, if you don't wake up,
is over.
Well, it's going to be problematic, right?
I guess.
However, it's sound advice. Although someone might say, I know that already. It does worry me that all this has got to be done before 7 a.m. It's saying, well, this is entrepreneurship or just getting ready in the morning?
Well, I've got to say, Robin, does that mean that you're coming in late at night or you just go straight off or...
I think they're talking about going to bed and waking up before 7 a.m.
Ah, okay.
Not being awake by coming in at 7 a.m. Then she said, well, firstly, it's interesting. She says, they're wide awake. They. And then she says, avoid your phone. Your phone. Who's here? Who is the they and you here? Ours?
Is
theirs,
it yours?
Mine? Theirs? Ours? I don't know. Anyway, you've got to avoid your phone.
Okay.
Then there's some boring stuff about exercising and meditating. And then, again, unsurprisingly, eating a healthy breakfast.
Well, I think it's good, Robin.
Hey, but look at this. It's oats, yogurt of some description.
Well,
and then she's got
have another look. Have another look.
A couple of tomatoes here.
Okay, I'm going to pull you up on this because I know you're vegetarian, mate, but what you're actually looking at is 2 eggs rather than 2 tomatoes.
Oh, in their natural state.
In their natural state,
okay,
yeah.
Right, I see. Okay, well...
Unexposed as McDonald's breakfast.
The breakfast advice is okay. Then it's just a load of other stuff about lift your spirits in a couple of minutes, set some goals. Number 7, once you've done all this, get down to business. I much prefer the advice from Timothy Sykes.
Who is?
I don't know, he's a VIP contributor.
I like the idea of that.
Yeah.
I like anyone that's...
See, he only gives you 6 things to do, not 7, and you're allowed...
Which is always good.
Yeah, and you're allowed until 9 a.m.
What?
It's like 2 hours extra.
Oh, this is a massive bonus. Yeah. Massive bonus.
I
love this, Robin.
On the other hand, right, his advice is even more vague. Firstly, he says, get physical.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
What does that mean?
It's the same as Serenity saying exercise or meditate. Then he says, eat something. He doesn't even define it. He just says something.
Which is pretty cool. So you could basically go down to your local Burger King or McDonald's.
Before 9 a.m.
Yeah.
I suppose you could, yeah.
Get your non-tomatoes.
And then he says, come out, take care of the necessary stuff. One of his examples is dry cleaning. I don't know about you, but
when was the last time?
I'm planning to be entrepreneurial, right? I'm going to be getting up thinking, right, I'm going to get my business plan done, get myself going, get my email up.
All I'm going to say, Robin, is when was the last piece of dry cleaning that you did?
Oh, it must be a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I had to wear a jacket for something. The worst thing about Timothy's 6 things is that he says cross off the most annoying to-do item first. But that's rubbish. You should always leave the worst thing till last.
Absolutely, Robin, because I'm a great believer in being an ostrich. And I think that you should always leave the most important thing to the last possible...
I'm not saying the most important, just the worst. The one you don't want to do.
I'm never going to do it.
Leave it to the end.
I'm never going to do it.
Imagine your dismay and embarrassment if you'd sort of got stuck into the thing you really didn't want to do and then some nuclear catastrophe or tsunami happened. How embarrassing.
Exactly.
You've done the worst thing first and left all the good stuff and you can't do it now.
Never going to happen, Robin.
These people are very... What's the word? Didactic about this. You have
what?
to do all this
What's
stuff.
What's that?
Didactic. It means they're telling you what to do, mate. Anyway, they're saying do all this stuff and then start work. That just seems almost impossible and unnecessary.
Well, it seems like a busy day, Robin.
It does, and that's what's interesting about this, because you're modelling yourself on entrepreneurs that you've heard of, the famous ones like...
Well, tell me someone.
Well, there's an article on entrepreneur.com, and it's entitled, How Does Your Morning Routine Compare to Elon Musk's, Sheryl Sandberg's, or Warren Buffett's?
Now that is a...
Buffett? Buffet?
Buffett.
Buffett.
It's not buffet.
It's what he has for breakfast.
Hyacinth bouquet.
I don't know, I'm just reading it, mate. The point is here, what does their morning routine actually look like? Elon Musk.
Elon Musk
There's no way you
does
can
not
hold
sound
up
like
Elon,
Serenities.
There's no way you can hold Elon Musk up as a paragon of responsible entrepreneurship, can you? What do you think he does? I think in the morning he smokes a huge spliff, then he gets stuck into his phone, sends a few messages to some divers in Thailand calling them pedos and child rapists. What time has he got left after that?
Well, I think that's a fairly busy day, to be honest.
But anyway, he thinks we're living in a simulation anyway.
Which is interesting, but,
It's like the Matrix, Yeah. I'm amazed he even gets out of bed with all this crud floating around in his head. No wonder he likes self-driving cars. There's no way he can concentrate on left-hand signals.
Well, the interesting thing, Robin, is that when Elon gets out of bed in the morning and smokes his big Camberwell carrot, is he sending the kids to school by...
Well, it tells you here, mate. It's got his actual routine.
Oh, wow.
That's
okay.
what the article's about.
Okay.
Firstly, he wakes up at 7 a.m, so he ain't done none of that Serenity Gibbons stuff before.
Serenity's way ahead of him.
So it's pretty late. Then it says he responds to critical emails for half an hour. I'd imagine he responds to them for a lot longer than that. What with all this stuff he's doing, He's got the pedo calling, he's got the split smoking, he's got the lawsuit from the guy called a pedo, who's just been made an OBE or something like that.
And Elon invited him to sue him.
Exactly, and he's being sued. And then he's got the bad, dodgy tweeting of investors, hasn't he? Telling him to do this and that. Got himself kicked upstairs, but who's kicking him upstairs? He is.
Isn't he just back, though?
He's the ultimate entrepreneur, really, Did all that shit and then kicked himself upstairs. But then the rest of the stuff in the day is really mundane. He sends his 5 kids to school. 5 kids is quite good. Sends them to school, takes a shower and drives to work. Who goes in the Tesla?
It's not him.
Well, I reckon he sends the 5 kids to school in a Tesla and then drives to work in a normal car.
Well, I'm telling you, Robin, there's no way that Elon Musk takes a Tesla out on the open road, because these poor guys that were test drive dummies that sent themselves into the horizon, which the Tesla couldn't see, and crashed.
That wasn't a Tesla test drive dummy, mate.
It was a real person.
That was a bloke who mangled himself.
And what was he reading?
Watching a video.
Exactly.
Harry Potter.
And
DVD.
Well, it was a Harry Potter DVD.
I can't believe Teslas have got DVD slots.
Well,
shouldn't it be streaming? I mean, for God's sake,
if you're an entrepreneur,
a personal DVD player.
And also, mate, for Elon, because didn't he? What was it you were saying to me about him, that he thinks we all live in a parallel universe?
That's what I just said. A simulation. He thinks the whole world's a simulation.
Which, in a way, is a good thing, that Elon can allow himself to allow every single person that dies in this sort of like crash test dummy scenario to only die in the abstract.
Yes. It's very convenient, especially if he ends up being sued for it.
Well, how can you sue me for that?
Come on and sue me, that's what he'll say, mate.
Which is happening.
Anyway, his morning routine's dull, because after sending the kids to school, he just has meetings and discusses engineering. On the other hand, Mark Zuckerberg, another example that they give you, when they ask him about what he first does in the morning, he says the first thing I do is look at my phone. And then it contradicts all the advice on entrepreneur.com, doesn't it? And then it says that's before he puts in his contact lenses, which is when I realised that it was a joke.
However, there is some irony in this, because if Mark Zuckerberg had actually put his contact lenses in when the NSA came knocking on his door saying, can we trawl all your customer data? And it was a binary question, Robin. Yeah? A binary question. All you'd have to say is that he probably wasn't right on his eyes, because when he looked about it and he went, I'm looking for the answer, he probably just pressed yes rather than no.
Can't really tell the difference, could he?
Because he didn't have his eyes on.
There's a big problem with all this stuff, really. Their advice doesn't add up to what these top entrepreneurs actually
Do.
And I think there's a better way to become an entrepreneur. Looking at entrepreneur.com, I think the best thing to do, cut and paste all these articles, put them on a website of your own, publish them.
And you're an entrepreneur.
That's our entrepreneurial advice over for the day.
And I think, Robin, we are now entrepreneurs.
Hopefully. What would help with that is if people had a look at the website.
Crowdfund us.
I think people would just be... It would just be good if people looked at our website, modernmediareview.com.
Also on Twitter?
Yeah, we're on Twitter and we're on iTunes.
Spotify?
Anyway, so iTunes, Spotify, YouTube.
And we've become massively popular recently.
Have we? Oh, because of the chocolate.
Well, relatively popular.
Lots of people have been reading about the chocolate bars. You'll
Yeah.
find that on the website. Anyway, thanks for listening and good night.
And we'll catch you later.
Bye.